introduce themselves and initiate a conversation on the study with Indiana Borough. President Debiser, however you'd like to have this information relayed.
I mean, I think the single most pressing question is whatever, as the chief pointed out, is if we do anything, there's going to be a side effect. And the question is, what's worse, the side effect or what we have now? And I think those are really hard questions to ask, and they're even harder questions to answer. Because obviously there's been a tragedy. Those tragedies may have been prevented had we done different things, but would we have accidentally created a different tragedy? And that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to accidentally jump out of the pot into the fire. And so I think that's, PennDOT, Department of Transportation, right? You guys are the experts in this when it comes to that. And so I think it's important. It's not just time down Philadelphia Street. It's what is that going to lead to potentially? What have you guys seen in other places? What are some of the side effects, if you will, of doing some of the recommendations that the chief has in this packet? I know we haven't actually touched on them. Are they familiar with the ones you specifically?
They are, yes.
Okay. And so maybe we should read what the three options prior to talking about. That way the audience knows what we're talking about.
So based upon our conversations with our partners at PennDOT, staff has provided Borough Council with three options.
Yep.
One would be to allow our Philadelphia Street corridor to remain as it is and continue a partnership approach to education and enforcement. The second would be for an all red pedestrian phase at our intersections along Philadelphia Street. And the third would be to both eliminate a left turn from Oakland Avenue onto the 900 block of Philadelphia Street, in addition to making a steady all red pedestrian phase at our intersections on Philadelphia Street. Those three options come to you with potential drawbacks and potential advantages. And our partners at PennDOT have laid out of what a path forward may look like if we choose any one of those three options. Those three options were based on what Manager Cephas and I felt were most logical options, best available options for Borough Council for traffic safety. So, Councilor.
It's just a thought, as you know, they come to my head. I was in Altoona months and months and months ago, and I sat at a red light and I couldn't understand why was nobody going. And then when I saw pedestrians crossing, it just, you're overcome with a feeling of like, wow, they really care about their pedestrians here. I mean, they just had plenty of time to go across and nobody was moving. Everybody knew that it was not time to go. It was just a no-brainer, and it felt safer. And I don't know how familiar of an action that is, but it was brand new to me. I'd never even seen that. And I had brought it to our attention back then, and I was like, it just seems so logical. So I don't know what impact it would have on the community.
So at this point in time, I would really like our partners at PennDOT to introduce themselves and maybe at this point in time to just come into the conversation from anything that you have from your perspective. And I do plan on following it up with a more detailed explanation of each option for your discussion. So.
I'm the AD for design, acting AD for design in District 10 right now.
My name is Kirk Schreckenglost. I'm the current district traffic engineer for District 10.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Snyder. I'm the district maintenance services engineer.
And I'll start out with we at PennDOT echo the statements of Chief Shaw. We're all saddened by the loss of life that occurred on Philadelphia Street. When we started our meetings in March, we looked at what could be done, as an immediate improvement to try and increase pedestrian safety. We looked at kind of a mid-range improvement that didn't involve a lot of lengthy design and construction process. And then that led us down the path of some of these signal timing scenarios that we recommended to Chief Shaw and Nicole to review. With that, there comes some processing time to collect data and do the analysis. And And we do understand that that maybe took a little longer than we had hoped. But again, when you start looking at what's going to occur when changes are implemented, the more information you can collect during those times, the better. So we were able to capture what we felt were your two most critical intersections during the school year, which was 9th Street, 7th Street. If you'll look at the pedestrian counts that were provided to you by Chief Shaw, 8th, 6th, 4th, and 5th were outside of that school year, but we still feel it reflected enough for us in terms of vehicle traffic and pedestrian movements that we could gauge an estimate of how these new scenarios would impact the borough. That being said, the signal timings that we came up with, there were ones that caused, more delay, some that kept the delays about the same. As far as the all pedestrian phases, on average, they added about a minute to your travel times through your corridor. That additional travel time, as Chief Shaw mentioned, could cause some effects to side streets or how pedestrians and motorists react along Philadelphia Street. The department does its best to consider the many different outcomes that changing traffic control devices can have, especially in a downtown area such as yours. But until the changes are made, you can never really determine what those impacts will be. These models that we ran and estimated are our best kind of estimate or recommendation or guess at what will occur with the all pedestrian phase in different configurations along Philadelphia Street.
So let me, if I may, would like to ask a question then for the other streets involved to do let me start over. So you guys did a rather intensive traffic study with, I'm assuming there's some of cameras, motion detected, et cetera. How long did that process take? So if we wanted to, for example, to examine some of the other streets, how long would that process take from start to finish to go through
So,
approximately?
yeah, and I think Chief Shaw had it here in some of his timeline. We started immediately in March with trying to collect data prior to school letting out. And then the last date was June 3rd. So it took about 2 months to
Okay.
collect the data along those intersections.
Now, that's just getting the data, then
That's just
obviously
getting
you have
the
to
data.
compile the data into something that means something to a person, right? Rather than just a computer.
You also want to get certain days of the week when you're
Yep.
collecting that data. You don't want to get like a Friday afternoon, or you're trying to get certain, to get the models to work correctly. The formulas they need that middle of the week.
Weather comes into play
Of
with
course,
that too.
okay.
We aren't gonna go out there on the rainiest
Because
day
of
of the
pedestrian.
week and collect pedestrian data
Right.
because you're gonna see
Right.
less of that information.
So it's reasonable to think, though, that to summarize, if we wanted to do another study, for example, to catch those other intersections, it's still a 3 to 5 month process from start to finish. Is that correct?
So
Again, I'm big
Yeah.
picture numbers.
with,
Napkin math.
with the partnership that we did with the borough along Philadelphia Street, because Philadelphia Street is a, state maintained
Right,
roadway. We tried our best to accelerate that
Oh,
process.
of course. Okay.
When you look at a fully comprehensive type of report that encaptures, origins and destinations and how people are going to divert,
Mhm.
we've had recent studies that municipalities have conducted that through consultants took 1.5 to 2 years to actually complete and implement.
So it's reasonable to say, though, that Well, the reason I'm asking these questions specifically is looking at, we have more than just those stoplights in town.
Yes, yep.
Right? And so the question is, what stoplights would changing into the four-way red benefit the most compared to maybe doing all of them?
Mhm.
Right? And so in order to gather data to examine whether or not it'd be practical, for example, to do all of them or even relevant, some of them just don't have that many people crossing, for
Mhm.
example. That would be a relatively lengthy process. It's not like this is a thing we can just do overnight, correct? I mean, this is gonna take some time.
So you're talking about implementing it at signals other than along the ones we've already studied at Philadelphia Street.
And for example, you had mentioned that school was out. So if we wanted to say, look at Fourth Street
Mhm.
and decide whether or not we wanted to also do that at Fourth Street or going down Oakland Avenue, some of for crossing, for example, I guess it's only one-way road there, but some of those areas, if we had wanted to expand though, yeah. I guess just a little bit of what I'm trying to get at is this is not a short process to gather all of the data necessary in order to actually capture the picture of what's happening and then, able to decide the totality of what to do about it, correct?
Yeah, you want to balance the accuracy of your outcome with the time frame that you're looking to, invest in the study. Obviously, if we studied this for 4 years, you're going to have a very accurate picture, but that's not the time frame that I think
Right.
council is looking to.
Right.
What I will say is for the signals along Philadelphia Street, because of the coordinated system that they're in, there's not really the opportunity to implement an all pedestrian phase or exclusive pedestrian phase at one signal or two signals
Understood,
versus
okay.
all of them. So
It's good to know.
that's good to know. If council decides that that is the outcome and that's what they want to look at doing, what would occur the all pedestrian phase would be implemented into every signal.
Okay,
And that implementation is if a pedestrian pushes a button at one of those signals, then some of the green time that would normally be given to Philadelphia Street for vehicles to travel along Philadelphia Street would be removed and given to the pedestrian.
right, okay.
The overall cycle length of all the signals throughout the entire corridor continues to remain the same. So you don't ever get a coordinated system that is running out of sync. You only ever give a little bit more of that time to pedestrians when they're at the signal pressing the button. What that means in layman's terms is you're gonna end up with maybe a little bit longer queue of traffic on Philadelphia Street because you didn't let as many cars through the signal.
Has the math been done on this to also limit the time on all of the incoming streets on 6, 7, 8 and Oakland? And to, instead of slowing all of Philadelphia Street down, but slowing each of these streets down a little?
So there's the possibility to look at that scenario, but the majority of your green time is for the through movement on Philadelphia Street. So if you start taking away from some of the side streets, now like Oakland is a street where we give quite a bit of green time because you have a lot of traffic trying to make that left or right hand turn off of Oakland onto Philadelphia Street. But some of the other side streets, if you're going to give 30 seconds to a pedestrian of all red phase, you might not have that type of time on your side streets to remove from.
They might lose an entire,
They might lose the entire cycle.
that makes sense. Okay.
I think it's an interesting point though, slowing, but I think that would more address a backlog. How do you limit the backlog while you slow down the cars getting to
I was
the?
just thinking of mitigating the time between both sides perhaps.
And with that, as should council make that decision, we would move forward with working with the signal maintenance contractor here at the borough to not only implement the timings, but then over a month to 2 month period, refine that and observe each of those intersections to make sure that we're trying to get that travel time for the corridor as near as we could to all pedestrian phase time.
So naturally, we would have folks speeding around town to avoid the stoppages, which is why I thought maybe decoy vehicles You laugh.
No.
Putting the decoy police car down on 10th Street on Water Street and up on 7th to have them maybe slow down a little bit. I mean, I know it would be a waste of resources, but
Well, it's not a waste if it's, if the chief looks at it and thinks it's an adequate, use of those resources. Casey, you had a question?
Yeah, does this include the X crosswalks? Because I really feel like part of this issue is we used to have an X crosswalk at 7th Street and it was the most pedestrian friendly. Like when I moved into town, it was here and I thought it was amazing and then it's gone. And part of the all red would open up the possibility of doing that so that people are able to cross twice and then also increases pedestrian traffic. You're able to get to where you need to be, which may be catty corner from where you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the all ped phase does open up that opportunity to do that, because about the same time it takes to do the all ped phase, the X crosswalk uses about the same time for the pedestrian
Okay.
to do that. And that would be more of a long-term type solution, because to do the X crosswalk at this point, the way your curb ramps and everything are currently established,
Okay.
you'd have to reconstruct your sidewalk corners to accept
Okay.
that pedestrian
The
traffic
ADA.
coming in
For
and
the
forward.
ADA
Yeah, correct.
requirements.
And then your signal poles and stuff, there could be adjustments to all of that. So not that it's not possible, it's just,
Includes
it's gonna
more
take time
funding
to
and
get
time.
there, to plan it, to design
good
it, to
idea, though.
implement it. But the advantage of the all ped phase ahead of that, you're gonna know what that traffic's gonna do with that delay before you would put that type of investment
Okay.
in. Does that make sense?
Yep. I just
Like,
want
you're
to
gonna
make
be
sure
able
like
to
that's
see-
maybe
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
phase if
Yeah.
we're able to do that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not, definitely not off the table. It's just the
Okay.
investment that goes with that. And then, like you had mentioned, people speeding on those side streets and stuff, that is one of our major concerns. That's one of the reasons why, as we did the analysis of all this, in the back of your mind, you do not want to create a worse situation in a different location than what
Yeah.
you currently have.
Such as Water Street.
So we're trying not
Yeah.
to suggest a change for you guys for your signal that's going to make it worse than it already is. Based at everything at hand and everything that's taken place, I think it's the recommendation of trying to do that all phase makes sense to us, at least for your borough at this point, to see what that reaction is. 'Cause
Yeah.
we can model this till we're blue in the face, and we can't tell you what people are gonna do until you implement.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna know for sure what traffic's gonna do. Are they gonna try to divert? Are they gonna speed? Are they gonna try to beat the light? Because they know they gotta wait another whole cycle to get through the light. Are you gonna have aggressive driving trying to beat those lights then? So those are all things we don't know how they're gonna react
Yeah.
until that's implemented, so.
Peter, you had a question?
I have a question. Do you have information on the effect on traffic of slowing it down? The amount of time you're talking about delaying passage through town is visible. It's nothing. A minute, I know if I'm stopped at a stoplight and I have to wait a whole minute, it seems like forever, but it's not.
Right.
It's almost no time.
And
But you've
Yeah.
studied traffic, and is driver behavior such that these times make a significant difference?
it depends on the driver, and I think you guys know that. So one person, like you said, you're gonna come up there and it's not gonna bother you, and you'll be all right with that. It really depends on the motorist coming up to that intersection, even the pedestrians. That's another thing. It's gonna slow down the cycle for the pedestrian as well, not just the driver, because they're gonna have to wait that cycle until that pedestrian cross is all red. So when everything gets delayed out, there is a delay to them as well. So is the pedestrian gonna take the time to wait for that light to turn to walk before some pedestrians make that movement? So both behaviors on both sides, the motorist and the pedestrian, could change slightly. Now, is there an impact? And it's only 1 minute, and that 1 minute could be not a huge impact, but if you start getting queuing and then you add that on top of that minute, that's where, when you get heavy congestion, so all these studies are done at that time that traffic came through this intersection. So say you have a large event and you have above normal traffic coming through the borough at that time, you're gonna get queuing those lights more predominantly by having that delay of that all through motion. When that queuing takes place, that's when you're gonna get your more aggressive drivers, because they might have to wait 2 lights to get through a signal, or, I know, isn't that bad? But there's people out there that get aggressive in those situations, and we just can't. We wish we had that answer for you, but we're not gonna know until that's implemented.
So I know that you have a goal of having traffic move smoothly. And that works nice on a highway. But we're talking about city streets. We're not residential streets, except for downtown where it's commercial. We want to favor pedestrian traffic. We're not there for people to move fast through town. They can go around town if they want to.
And that's one of
Build
the,
nice highways.
yeah, and that's one of the questions we have for the council. What model are you guys looking at for your borough? Because if your boroughs, you're looking at a model that's more pedestrian friendly, a walking community. If that's the consensus, then the all ped phase is gonna lean in that direction. And if it does divert traffic, it more reaches the goal you're looking for because less cars are coming through there as well. So to your point, if traffic does divert, the concern falls to where does it divert to? What do we need to do there to control that traffic? And how do we maintain pedestrians safe in that area as well? Because our goal is not, we're not primarily traffic through the borough. That's not our goal. Our goal is how do we get the traffic through the borough, the pedestrian through the borough, and the bicyclist and motor, anybody that's there, we want them all to be able to get there and get out safely. And that's what we're trying to find that balance for you guys and help you adjust your signal or your intersection so that you can have what you're looking for. And that's, I mean, from council's perspective, which way is council looking towards that? Is it more pedestrian friendly or is it?
Yeah. Pedestrian.
Pedestrian.
Yeah.
And what I'll say is even, no matter which, option that was presented by Chief Shaw or Nicole is, chosen, that's still a start. Like when we looked at the signal timings, that was something that could be done without major infrastructure improvements at the cost of a little bit of time to do the study. And PennDOT did that study. That's not, no problem for us to help you there along Philadelphia Street. Once your option is chosen, then you still continue to look at, okay, now what are our longer term pedestrian and traffic improvements and the vision for Philadelphia Street? You're saying it is the walkable community, the pedestrian friendly community. There are more changes that we would want to talk to that might be longer term that you might have to bring someone else on board as well to work with Indiana Borough to get
Okay.
all those recommendations and then set a path forward. So the signal timings that may get implemented for the all pedestrian phase matches what the layout of the corridor is then also. Drivers start to have that expectation of, yes, I need to go slow down here, not I'm gonna speed between getting stopped at every light.
Jonathan, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of speaking to the point I wanted to make now. Like, we really appreciate as a citizen, as a resident, as a borough council member, the partnership of PennDOT in this effort. And moving forward, knowing that we have to do these types of impact studies and kind of strategic visioning, I guess, for the approaches and next steps. What role is PennDOT playing in that partnership? And how do we find those resources to do that meaningfully for our residents?
So through PennDOT, I've already reached out to have some consultant resources that are available to us through agreements. Look at Philadelphia Street. We'll be having those discussions just to try and work on getting some potential funding through state projects that we could do should funding come available. We'll also work with Indiana Borough and Council on what opportunities are available for local resources. You're going to have changes to Philadelphia Street. We mentioned that, but Philadelphia Street already has some of your most upgraded signals and pedestrian crossings. So those side streets like Water Street, School Street, Church Street, those are ones that the grant funding is probably going to come more from the borough.
Sure.
Looking for local match opportunities. And PennDOT works with all municipalities to try and figure out, hey, what best fits for what you're trying to
The
do.
totality of the goal.
Yeah.
Casey, did you have another question?
It's kind of answered. I just want to know, would there be a follow-up study similar to this after changes are implemented, or we would just roll that into a larger
We
comprehensive
would,
study?
we'd probably recommend something of that nature, like even if it's an interim. So if you choose to implement one of those phases, PED phases, you're gonna be doing studies just to adjust that PED phase as well.
Okay.
Like you're gonna be looking at that, like he'd said earlier, you're gonna be trying to adjust those phases, those light timings, just to try to keep all traffic that you got moving, primarily pedestrian with that stop phase. What's that do? Try to make every intersection safe if you can. So there's gonna be adjustments. You're gonna be doing studies throughout.
Okay.
But you could, if there's a specific intersection or certain street you want to look at, then yes, you absolutely could.
The
Right.
all red phase can be implemented quickly, right?
Yeah.
But it's that time after, maybe over the course of maybe a month,
Right.
possibly a month and a half, 2 months, where we're tweaking those timings to make sure, okay, if we add a little bit of green time here, we could get a queue cleared out,
Sure.
those types of things. So very quick initial implementation, but then over the course of maybe a month or two, we're going to continue to tweak it. And then the comprehensive study would be the much larger study that's going to take longer.
And you would definitely want to do some outreach and community outreach and notify people that the timing, although this timing changes, educate them on what that timing means. And also that it's only Philadelphia Street to start with, because you don't want people to build the expectation that when they walk up to a light, hit the button and it says go, they're good to go. Because Philadelphia Street will now be like that. And you're gonna have other lights through the community that
Yeah.
are not currently like that. So I would really encourage some outreach or some education on that end, and patience of the community and everybody you can, that when those phasings are being adjusted, don't have naysayers come in and say that it's ruined immediately because I had to wait 5 minutes. Maybe there's an adjustment that had to be made because the timing isn't perfect at first. To ask people's patience till you work through that to try to make it as good as you possibly can.
Now, Don had a question, then I
Yeah,
have
I-
then I have a question for
I
Chief.
appreciate the work and effort and studies you've done. My concern is whatever decision we make, what happens at Water Street, what happens on Gompers, because that wasn't mentioned, school and church. And I know a lot of that's gonna fall on our police department and Lieutenant Slavinsky and the chief and the whole department, and what we can do. And I'm glad to hear that you could work with us to get funding, apply for grants to get funding to study this. Because there will be people that, especially people that live here, that know, oh, when we have parades and stuff, we use water or we use these other side streets. And I worry about increased traffic there where there's less control of the traffic beyond just stop signs. I do like the fact that you have already said we're looking at grants to the flashing yellows, the flashing pedestrian signs, because where we have the flashing red stop signs down on Carter Street, and there's Washington, where we had an accident a few years ago that was a fatality at that accident. That's at Washington and South Sixth. I think those are very effective because they do catch your eye. And I like that we're going in that direction also, but I do worry about whatever decision we make here that's good for Philadelphia. How does it affect these side streets?
I agree with that. I second that. That's actually my question for Chief,
Yeah.
would simply be, okay, if we had implemented this all way for pedestrians, and now what should we be looking for on the side streets? Because as PennDOT pointed out, we won't know exactly what'll happen until it happens. So what could be some things for either what would the police department be doing, or what could we be asking citizens to do? That sort of thing, Chief, if you don't mind, could you speak to that, please?
Yes, thank you. So what we cannot quantify in this conversation is what that dynamic will look like. We can anticipate, and we should anticipate, that there will be increased traffic on our side streets. But it's very difficult today to provide you with any sense of certainty what that impact will look like. What I will say is that you have a 21 officer police department, and all 21 officers are committed to this community and committed to community safety. And with that being said, there's certainly targeted enforcement that we could do when we recognize which streets are being most impacted. And there's also an opportunity for us to create a method where our community can communicate with the police department, not necessarily about emergent issues, but if you're noticing an uptick of traffic in your neighborhood, we can work to provide a level of communication directed from the community to the police department where we can start compiling community concerns. So for instance, if the 600 block of Gompers Avenue is seeing increased traffic flow and it's a concern to some of the folks that use 600 Gompers, that might not be something that you would want to call, well, you should not call 911 for that, but it may not be something that you would want to call a non-emergency line for, to speak with a dispatcher to, but yet you want, as opposed to being frustrated by it in a sense of there's nothing that we can do, to be able to set up a system where we can absorb the voices of the community so we know where these pinch points will exist, so that then we can work on enforcement education. We can do a myriad of things with as you said, Counselor Collazo, with some, you called it a decoy car, but with clear visibility that police are at an intersection, all those things are valuable. I know that our work isn't going to stop past today. And our work hasn't been intentionally slowed coming to today. So we will work as hard as 21 members of your police department can possibly work for the community, and we will support any decision the council makes. The reality from my point of view is that any decision that you make is not a foolproof plan. It cannot be a foolproof plan, and any decision that you make will have potential drawbacks and potential advantages. And so from the police department's perspective, I just offer you that we will be best partner to the community that we can. We're going to ask for everyone's patience. We're going to need to know where these problems potentially exist. And so we will plug in that regard, if that answers a little to the point of your question.
It does. If I could, real quick though, could we possibly talk about, because obviously we need to make some level of decision, right? Either today or in the very near future. And I asked briefly, if we decide to go, let's just say we decided to go with option, we haven't talked about 9th Street yet, but let's just say we pick option C. What is the expectation of timeline? How soon would we have the 4 ways? And then piggybacking off of that, when might there be, hey, if you see a problem at 4th and Locust, this is the number to call, or this is the number to text, or something to that effect? What might be a tentative timeline?
We have the contact us email address that goes, and we actually received a comment today, and I forwarded it on to the chief about.
Okay, so there's already a potential,
Yeah, there's
okay.
already that in place for people to contact us.
So it's just an ongoing communication
Yeah,
campaign,
that's
then,
checked
so people know what that
daily,
is.
yes, yeah.
Okay, and what about the potential about
So,
implementation?
yeah, I can answer that. And before I do, I just want to speak to other traffic control changes that, anytime we do a study or we change the way a traffic control device operates, we always send a letter to the jurisdictional enforcement agency.
Okay,
The reason we do that is because setting the expectation from the beginning when a traffic control device changes, especially from, the enforcement side, we'll work with Chief Shaw and Nicole to, again, do that best guess of, hey, here's Water Street, here's School Street that we know people are already kind of using. Any, enforcement that you can start from the beginning to set an expectation of,
Sure.
yeah, Philadelphia Street's a little bit slower, but you got to watch out because the side streets are being patrolled or monitored. That'll keep maybe some of those consequences that everyone's worried about from,
okay.
cropping up immediately. As far as implementing this, we'll meet and talk with Nicole about setting a meeting with the signal maintenance contractor as early as next week, 2 weeks to work through the signals and get the timings implemented. And then again, another month to 2 months of monitoring,
Sure.
community feedback,
So-
any information that you're getting, hey, I waited 10 minutes at Oakland Avenue, those, in what time people waited,
Sure.
are all important for our tweaking of those signal timing.
So roughly speaking, if council, let's just say we decided something, say whatever the something was. Roughly 3 to 5 weeks, the signals could be different with another month to 2 months of tweaking after that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say we would be comfortable with that timeframe.
Okay, so this again isn't as simple as pull up a computer, dial it. You gotta have the contractor come in and do the
Yep.
locally
Yeah.
speaking, do the work to change the signals.
Yeah, there's a permitting process and the modification of a
Sure.
permit, you know, so that will play into this as well. We'll develop and have developed some of the timings as a start point. Get with the signal maintenance contractor, physically get out there in the field, program in those timings, watch to make sure everything's operating as we intended, and then from there, the observation period begins.
Now,
Could
oh,
you
go
give
ahead.
us an example? Could you give us an example of what this would look like from the pedestrian's perspective? They come up, they hit the button. What next?
So from a pedestrian perspective, in the models that we've looked at, once through traffic on Philadelphia Street comes to a stop, the pedestrian should get a walk phase around all, you know, the entire intersection. Philadelphia Street traffic will come to a stop, pedestrians will be able to walk. The side streets will still be at a stop at that point. And then once the pedestrian phase has cleared, the side streets will go.
Okay, so if I approach and someone else just finished walking, how long, if I press that button, how long till it cycles through to let me walk again?
Minute and 10 seconds.
And how much time does the pedestrian have to get through the intersection? And will they have any sort of knowledge that this would be enough time to get through two intersections, or would it not be enough time? Say they had to go catty corner as normal thing.
Right now, I think we've started with a 30-second pedestrian phase, just as a basis to model what we needed to do. So you would have 30 seconds to walk. Your indications would be the same indications you get now. You know, there is that green phase or the walk phase, and then as that pedestrian countdown timer starts to show you, you know, maybe 15, 14, that's your indication that it's ending. Now, if you get to the other side of one of the crossings and there's not a 15 seconds left to cross type thing, yeah, if you're an able-bodied person, maybe that's something that you're willing to say, I know I can make it across there in 15 seconds.
I would-
Yeah.
I would say general rule, if you get across the crosswalk right now and you turn around and look and you could get back across,
Yeah.
I would say you would be able to make two
Okay,
of those crosses.
and presently, do we have 30 seconds right now on our crosswalks? Do you know? Or do we have?
Crosswalk, but-
I feel like we have more, a shorter, is
Shorter.
it more
It
of a
doesn't
20?
start counting down until,
Isn't it 15 seconds?
That's
or
right.
something?
Start and then it
It's
counts.
20.
we'll tell you here, give us one.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you think about it, there's essentially three phases, right? So main line would be phase one, pedestrians would be phase two with 30 seconds, and then the side streets would be the phase three before it would circle back around to phase one again.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay.
All right,
So pedestrians right now are able to cross every other phase.
Right.
And there would be then essentially three phases, and they would cross at phase two.
that makes sense.
Okay, so
No.
one thing, we spent a lot on the four-way cross, but on, in option C, there's another intersection that we haven't actually touched on at all. And that's the 9th Street recommend, with the recommendation of not allowing the northbound traffic to turn left. Is that correct? Or is it southbound to turn left?
So
It's north, not allowing now northbound to turn north, right? And so my initial question is it possible to have east-west go at one point per normal right now, and have north go and then have south go? Or is that just gonna make us take way too long?
So that is possible. That was one of the recommendations before you. If you look at what Chief had, what that does is
I read it wrong.
for your southbound approach on 9th Street, you could encounter up to a
Oh,
10-minute
I got you.
delay time for vehicles on
Okay.
southbound 9th Street. So what it does is it drives up, and the reason is there's so much traffic on northbound Oakland Avenue.
Yeah,
To get that out and to get Philly out, southbound's your lesser traveled, so it's gonna get
And that
more
time's
delay.
based on that queue length, how many
Yeah.
cars are coming, how many could fit through that lane?
Sure, okay.
That's what
So-
creates that.
You
So
say
my-
one person could sit at that light going south for 10 minutes.
They wouldn't just sit right at the light, but they might be in a queue of traffic that they keep
Yeah.
moving up, but it might take them that long to get through that
Yeah,
light
there's like
because of
3 or 4
flushing
So it'd be
cars.
multiple phases.
If they were all.
Yeah, so they'd
So-
be sitting
If
through
they
multiple
already-
lights to get through there.
That
Under the
creates
traffic
frustration.
counts that we have.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we would, that would divert left turning traffic, what, on water?
Church.
Church would be
Like
the
I'm
road
saying,
before
like
it.
some of these people have to turn left,
You're
Right.
right?
correct.
So I'm trying to think how
Yeah, so
we're
either
gonna go somewhere
the,
else.
You're
the,
gonna drive down Church Street.
the traffic pattern we anticipated was either turning prior to getting to Philadelphia Street to try and then get out and make a left, or go through the signal
And then make.
and then loop around to make a right.
We get our 11th Street traffic light back?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
It's warranted.
Don't know.
Well, because
forget
realistically
that.
speaking, we're gonna drive, that particular change would immediately drive traffic more than likely down the Church Street. Because there's a light at Church, it's gonna encourage people, the people who know it's coming are gonna turn there, the people who don't know it's coming are gonna turn down an alley or turn down water. What's up?
Isn't church one way?
No, only
Not
going the
there.
other directions. one way.
Or you
Okay.
could turn at the the Vercelli's and go down 10th.
Well, yeah, the people who know it's coming are gonna, pick one of those roads, so we're immediately going to send cars
So
down
it's
less
north?
traveled roads.
To,
So it is a
to,
thing to consider for sure.
to your point though,
Ninth Street.
if traffic is diverted,
Southbound.
depending on which route it starts taking, you may realize that there are needed traffic control devices
Yeah.
elsewhere. So there may be an intersection elsewhere that a lot of traffic starts using, and then perhaps a traffic signal is warranted at that
Sure.
location. Those are things that we are sort of hard to predict without an origin destination study.
Yeah,
To
sure.
really know where people are coming from, where they're going to, but those things may be realized as traffic starts diverting.
So doing this would be another one of those situations where you kind of have to try it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then,
As we encounter issues, we're gonna have to, I hate to say react, but we may have to react in certain situations and implement some additional traffic control devices.
So what I can tell you from the counts,
Yes.
It's okay, no, I'm listening.
what I can tell you from the counts that we collected, the left turn movement at northbound Oakland Avenue onto Philadelphia Street was 350 vehicles for a 24-hour period. In comparison to the 2,444 vehicles that made a right turn and
so it may not actually
thousand
change that much.
vehicles that went straight. Yeah,
Everybody
so-
already says that that intersection is crummy and
Hard to
avoids
make,
it.
yeah.
I avoid it.
Yeah, And
I can't
you
tell
can
you
see
last
that,
time I turned left.
you can see that coming southbound too, because only 155 vehicles make a left coming southbound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our
So maybe
guess
less
is a lot of
than
the 300 that are making the left are not from the area and not
Yeah.
familiar with the intersection. They get up there. GPS told them to make a left and make a left. And that's what you're doing.
For me.
All right, in which case then, count, so,
Okay, I have-
go ahead, sorry.
So if we were to make northbound traffic from Oakland not be able to make a left, but southbound still be able to make a left, does that create confusion?
What's the count going
That's a good
southbound?
question too.
That's where that, how that pedestrian accident happened in March.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
On the 9th.
but we have protected pedestrian stuff.
Well, the recommendation from staff about changing that left turn was in addition to the all red phase.
Yeah.
So,
oh,
so the
okay.
left turn, the recommendation for the left turn removal is a nod to our motorists who find that intersection, who communicate to us that that intersection is difficult.
Yeah.
So thought being that in an abundance of safety and caution, we could address the pedestrian safety issue with the all red phase. And if we reduce the left turn at 9th Street, that may make that intersection more bearable
Yeah.
for traffic.
I'm questioning
the
if
left-
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, but there would not, if council decides to do an all red phase, then pedestrians would be crossing without any other traffic moving. So even if a car were gonna make a left-hand turn from North 9th Street onto
Yeah.
Philadelphia, it would, if everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, it would be unimpeded by pedestrian traffic.
I was questioning the motorist confusion in that
Confusion.
you're coming one way at this intersection. Sometimes I can turn left coming this direction, but I can't turn left this direction if only perhaps we just keep it all going straight?
Well,
That was my question.
I think to their point, though, so few people comparatively turn left at that intersection already. And at least in theory, it may not cause that much confusion because it's so because it's awful. And everyone who knows about it avoids it
It's an
already.
accident whenever I have to turn left there.
It's, yes, 100%. Like, oh, crap, I went the wrong way. Yeah.
It's that offsets intersection that creates the confusion.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the suggestion was made by Chief Shaw to just try to eliminate some of the confusion at that intersection. You eliminate one movement, that's just one less thing pedestrians have to worry about and other motorists have to worry about at that intersection. If you eliminated both, would the intersection get better? It probably would, but the traffic that wanted to go down Philadelphia Street, where are they turning?
I know though.
They gotta go straight through. Now where do they turn to come back? and
It's a
go to
long
Philly?
way.
It's a hard way around there. So
Yeah.
that's why that left movement on Philly wasn't initially recognized, because we were trying to keep that mobility back if somebody wants to get on Philadelphia Street as well. So that was kind of where, and Jonathan, you had a question earlier. We kind of talked over you.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to wrap my head around that 10-minute delay time and how many cars are considered in that estimation, as well as does that 10 minutes include the assumption that there is the four-way stop in it? I'm just trying to get all the
That was
assumptions
with the
there.
four-way stop.
Okay.
That's part of the problem.
Well, that particular stretch of road can get traffic backed up 2 lights anyway.
Right.
So
Yes.
I don't know if it's 10 minutes, but you can get it, because I drive by there on my home
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah,
And you can have cars all the way through.
yeah, it's a
Down
short
to
one.
10th Street.
But 10-minute is the all red plus one leg going, then stopped, then the other leg going. So it
Okay.
adds another phase
Yeah.
in, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of 3 phases there, you'd essentially have 4 phases.
Yeah, it's a complicated intersection.
And it's important to note too, that what the models report is average vehicle delay.
Right.
So the person at the front's not gonna see 10 minutes. The
Correct.
person at the back might see some of that. It's somewhere in between. So it's an average of all those vehicles in the queue
Oh,
is where that kind of comes into effect. It doesn't mean every vehicle is gonna experience a 10-minute
And this
delay.
is average, so there's times a day where it would be much shorter, right? There might be a significant event that, like Matt indicated, that brings a lot of traffic into the community that creates it to be longer.
Yeah.
So these are sort of average times.
Right.
Even 6 minutes is a long time to sit at a light, so.
Okay, Chief, you had something?
I just wanted to be acknowledging the time for council. So I would like to say though, before we continue with the discussion, or however much more discussion council would like, that there's some quiet partners in the room I just want to acknowledge, because I've done a lot of talking in the past few weeks on this topic, but I wanted to acknowledge one, Manager Cephas. She's been an integral part of us increasing our safety effort through town. Second is Lieutenant Slavinsky, who's joined me here today. He spearheads our traffic safety efforts. He's done a great job with those efforts leading up to and through Halloween weekend to create a safest and possible environment. And our Public Works, because Public Works has been with us through this. And if we are awarded grant funding, 28 stop signs and 4 pedestrian cross signals aren't going to plant themselves. And so Public Works is understanding of that. I presented all of council with 3 options verbally, and they were in concert with Manager Cephas and based on the totality of our work with PennDOT. And not that I sense that there's a need for you to vote immediately on any of these topics, but just to draw your attention to the fact that there are advantages that I anticipate to all of these approaches. There are disadvantages that I anticipate to all of these approaches. And that motorists still have to obey the law for all of this to work, as do pedestrians. And no matter what we choose to do as a community today, the police department needs everyone's patience. There will be growing pains with any option. And we have to stay connected, because we don't want to pull apart at the first sign of frustration. I would assume if we turn the lights red, we will experience someone crossing diagonally when they shouldn't, and the police department is not always going to be there, or it may not always be prudent for us to stop a vehicle for crossing diagonal based on whatever else we have going on. There may be issues on our side streets that are requiring our attention that day. We do have a robust school safety responsibility to, and all of this is important. I am not placing one thing more important than the other. I just need this to be an acknowledgement to everyone in our community that you have a high functioning police department that's proud to serve you. We are working on a public safety strategy. But we need to be in partnership with everybody, and we need everyone's support, because it's not something that we can strictly enforce our way out of. No problem will we be able to strictly enforce our way out of. It has to be a whole of community approach. So with that, if you'd like to, I don't know how many folks are here for public comment, or at what point you'd like to further this discussion, but it is 5:08.
Yeah.
I know there is another half of the meeting.
I think what I would like to say just to council is if someone did want to propose a motion to vote, I do think we should wait until new business and allow public comment to go prior to trying to make any decisions, so we can actually hear what all the nice folks that sit here would like us to lean. And so,
I agree with that.
yeah, okay.
I support that.
In which case, is any final comments on the discussion at this time?
Yeah, wasn't there an option too to have crosswalk signs put up in between the intersections as well?
I think that was a side, wasn't it? That was.
Yes, the plan,
It was an
the
also,
plan
I
is
think.
to have push button pedestrian lighted signals at Carpenter Avenue and Philadelphia Street and 8th Street and Philadelphia Street.
There's some of that right down here,
Is there-
recommendations.
There we go.
I thought that was. in
Oh,
here.
yeah,
Is-
yeah.
Is there anything that PennDOT had any input on that? Is there any?
We didn't include that in the time study, so we don't know how that'll impact, if it has an impact on any of those travel times or the cycle times, because that wasn't involved in the original study, because that was innovative that came in, but after the
assumption.
original
Yeah.
assessment. So we can look at that, but we don't have an exact number on what the impact would be.
Would you know anything about safety along with that? Would it be a better option for us to include that? Or do you guys have any sort of studies on it's better for people to cross at an intersection versus in the middle?
Yeah, I don't have that with me tonight. We can look, we can do some research on that for
Be
you.
awesome.
On top of that, I've seen those elsewhere and they seem to work where they are.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know the timing of how often you want that to be able to activate and how that all works, but that's
Well, in
probably
theory-
something to think through.
In theory, those would be more dialed into a single person crossing rather than a 30-second. Maybe it's only 12 seconds for that
Right.
particular road, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And that could impact.
But if there's a green light at that exact moment, they get that button, they have right away in the middle of that set green.
But they have it right away now anyway.
Correct, you are.
So even
correct.
if there's not a flashing light,
Right.
if I'm walking through, in theory, they would hopefully,
You're
they're all
100%.
stopping anyway.
Yeah.
The theory, if the motorist obeys traffic, you are
Right.
right. That is going to impact that traffic flow.
So the flashing light in theory wouldn't necessarily change a lot. It just draws more attention to the person crossing. Because they should
Yeah.
be stopping anyway.
I was
The
just more
idea-
curious about the safety. of
The
it.
idea would be that a pedestrian would not have to walk into the crosswalk
To
before
be
traffic is alerted to the fact
Ah,
that there is a
yes.
pedestrian
Like they do
waiting.
now.
I just talked to somebody today
At the
that
beach all the
happened.
time.
They had a-
Yes, that's where the idea
There are a lot of
originated.
them at the beaches that
Yeah.
I've been to.
Okay,
The only way I think it could have an impact over what you currently have, more people may want to use that because they
Yeah.
feel safer doing it. So if you get more population going out hitting that, then you could have more phase to that green, but we won't know until you
Yeah,
install
we
it
have
and
Or
see
you may
that.
have pedestrians who don't want to wait for their phase to come up
Correct.
at those other intersections.
So they walk to that
And
light
so
because
they
they can
walk
hit
because
it.
it's an immediate.
sure, but they could do that now.
Right.
Correct.
Right, so we're talking about an incremental difference in that, because I do that already. I'll walk down to the next crosswalk rather than wait.
But to your point, that as the motorist is coming through, you know,
Yeah.
pedestrians are trying to peek out past parked cars. This lets motorists know that, hey, there's somebody standing there.
Yeah, that's good. All
Yeah, we're not opposed to it. That's
Absolutely not.
right, any other further final discussion on this before we move into public comment? No? Okay, in which case then, we're gonna move into our public comment portion of the meeting. And so folks, just there's a few basic ground rules we do ask people to abide by. The person who is going to, I will call your name. I think everyone here has their municipality written down, so you don't specifically have to announce it, but we do ask you to sit at the table specifically. And we do have a 3-minute timer that we ask you to stick to. In that time, you know, it's your 3 minutes, okay? If you want to use all 3 minutes, you can. If you have 10 seconds for things to say, that's okay too. You cannot give time to someone else. But you know, you can use as much or as little of the 3 minutes as you're allowed to use. there's not too many people, so we're just gonna start at the list and work our way through. And yeah, anything else? Okay, so I apologize. A lot of new faces. We're not trying to be condescending when we say any of this. We just want folks that may have never been to one of our meetings before to understand the basic outline of it. I would also like to add that in your public comment, we may reply to you later in the meeting in an indirect manner, but it's not formatted to be a conversation. And so if you have, a specific question, we'll try to write it down and maybe later in the meeting, we can address it, or we may try to gather some contact information, et cetera, reach out to you in some other format to answer that question. But again, it's not a conversation per se, whereas if you say, hey, what's your favorite color pizza? We're not gonna respond to you in that moment, if that just makes sense. So I don't want anyone to feel slighted or like we're being rude. It's just a format of you guys get your 3 minutes and then we're here to listen. Does that make sense? Okay, all right. And I apologize if I get your name wrong. I believe it's Zan Klein, is that correct? All right, if you would please.
Yeah, so I'm here to represent the family of Tina Perez. I'm not Tina's blood sibling, but Tina and I have been best friends since we were 5 years old. We met at kindergarten in Catholic school down in Pittsburgh. We were so close growing up that I was an only child and Tina had her own bedroom at my parents' house. So that tells you she was my sister. We talked every day for the last 35 years. Tina has lived or worked in Indiana Borough for the past 22 years since she came up here to go to IUP as an undergrad. Her parents now live in Virginia Beach. They couldn't be here today. And so I volunteered to come up and talk to all of you. I'm assuming a lot of you on the council know Tina. I mean, I just know that because she's so involved in Indiana in general, that you guys know her. But before you guys make any kind of vote, I want you guys to be aware that 7 years ago, Tina made a post on her Facebook about that intersection at 7th Street in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys have been made aware of this or not. Let me find it here. So Tina, on June 9th, 2018, Tina had posted on her Facebook a video of innovative crosswalks. They're the X-style crosswalk. She says, I love how this quote unquote innovative, I love how this is innovative, but Indiana Borough got rid of the X several years ago. Bring back the X. That's exactly what Tina said. She goes on to say, and some other folks had commented and told her that, that's PennDOT's job to take care of that part of Philadelphia Street. And Tina said, they told her to reach out to PennDOT. She says, I initially thought a previous council had made this decision, but we should definitely take this up with PennDOT. As someone who walks and drives through that intersection almost daily, I'd rather have the X and have to wait for people to cross when I'm driving. I can't tell you how many times a car turning onto Philadelphia Street has nearly hit me when I'm crossing. This was 7 years ago, over 7 years ago. And Tina was afraid of that intersection for the past 7 years. And I want to tell you something. Tina was the most intelligent person that I've ever met. I'm not even overblowing that. She was. She also had previous trauma from being in a car accident. She was afraid of cars. She was one of the most safe people crossing a street that I know. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, people need to watch out. No, I can tell you for sure that she pressed that button. She waited for that signal because she was afraid of cars. I will tell you that. We had to bury her yesterday. I had to hold her younger sister while she bawled because her 1- and 2-year-old children will never know their aunt. Okay? This person I talked to every day for 35 years. And it is not okay. She wanted the X crosswalk, so at very least, we need those 4-way stop crosswalks. That's what Tina wanted. In her honor, you guys need to vote for that. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how much money it takes. I will fundraise for it myself. And that's what needs to be done. And until it happens, I want a police officer at every one of those intersections to help people cross during busy times, because someone else is going to die. Because not only my boss has a child who's a student at IUP, but my first cousin has a son who's a student at IUP. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to wait to hear that I have to go to the funeral of another one of my family members who's died? Tina worked not even 2 blocks away from that intersection for 15 years. 15 years. And it is absolutely a travesty that that X crosswalk was taken out of there in the first place. Do you know why it was? To save people 13 seconds on driving down Philadelphia Street. And I don't care how many minutes people have to sit in their car and wait. Because myself, Tina's parents, her brother and sister, her nieces and nephews, all of her friends, and all of her other family members have to go without her for every single second of the rest of our lives. Every single second.
That is a huge loss.
It
And we
is, it's a
thank you
huge
so much for
loss,
coming
and it's a
up and
huge loss for
sharing.
Indiana as well.
It is.
Tina had dedicated her entire adult life to the community of Indiana.
I'm sorry you're here tonight telling us about this.
Yeah.
We thank
I
you for
I hope
coming.
you, I apologize, that sounded wrong. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry the circumstances. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand that. I just wanted to communicate how important it is and how important Tina was to her family, to her friends, to this whole entire Indiana community. She was very important.
Your words have
and-
not fallen on deaf ears. We're
Yeah.
grateful for your coming and speaking today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Next on the list is Dreama. Forgive me, Vin, I'm not, Vin Sites, thank you.
Thank you.
Dream of Insights. I've lived in the borough for 25 years. Before that, moved to Pittsburgh. I've always loved walking in my community, and it's a bonus for this community, but it's scary. It's scary. Inattentive drivers, I will say, are very scary. I appreciate the sense of urgency I read from y'all tonight. Let's make sure it gets safer before more injuries. I worked at the hospital for a short time as a nurse. I worked a lot of places. There are a lot of injured people at the hospital from car accidents, from pedestrian versus car accidents on Philadelphia Street also, that screw people's lives up. So it's not enough to say we have to gather the information. We do have to be mindful, I get it, but we do need to be urgent because a lot of people are injured and killed. So I appreciate the urgency sense. I also appreciate there seemed to be a sense of communication of consensus that pedestrian safety is a priority in Indiana. That's something precious we have. One request, a lot of y'all already answered or mentioned or pointed to where you're headed. Can we please, this is my one request, can we please get rid of the phony Jimmy Stewarts? And it's funny, but it's scary. If you're standing there hearing this phony impression saying, go ahead, take your time. It's haunting. I felt like it was straight out of Stephen King. I felt that before. It's haunting. You can't take your time. If anything, it should say, look left, look right, look left again, and run like hell.
It's not at that point. Okay. Donna Seister, is that pronounced right? My apologies if I got it wrong.
My name is Donna Seister. I previously spoke at the other one you had back in March, April. As far as not having the traffic and the pedestrians being able to go at the same time. I greatly agree. Also, as far as with the four-ways, everybody stops. One question I had, and I don't know if this is, they were saying about as far as, like, she had just said, you know, it used to be, it was an X at 7. Okay, and that was done away with. But I didn't know during the discussion with the question as far as if you would have enough time to get from one side to the other side. If it's an actual cross, you can go from here to here that way. So you would not have to worry about, do I have enough time to get
Yeah.
to that other
Mhm.
side? If it's an actual cross or a box or a square with the end in the middle of it. And then also, I do want to commend as far as for, you know, with Indiana Borough putting out on their Indiana Borough and surrounding areas and stuff, the pedestrian and the drivers, you know, as far as the information that's been put out. But according to that, like, even that, there's been like a lot of people question as far as like with the lighting on some of the streets. One of the questions that I had, and from some of the other posts from prior to, was you did a study on the time and the different things. But there have been a lot of people commenting on, it's not like you have that full 30 seconds or whatever to walk when they push that button at some of the different intersections. Has there been a study or is there a way of checking to see if all of those signals are on the correct time frame? Because if they're not on the correct time frame, as a lot of people are commenting, you know, okay, if I think I have 15 seconds to walk across here and I start when it starts turning, but then I'm done by the time 10. Well, there has to be a way to have that accountable that, okay, that's an issue. Okay, then the software needs fixed for that. You know, that, and like I said, it's a shame that, you know, anybody's lost their life. One other thing, I've recently spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh. You know, this may be far-fetched for Indiana County or Indiana Borough or whatever, but if they want to eliminate the people and the pedestrian, they do bridges over top of stuff, where the people go over top. A lot of our countries, a family, you know, the March incident, when they lived in Japan, that's how they crossed a lot of those intersections. You know, it may be more money, it may be whatever, but at the same point in time, how many lives do we have to lose because of this?
Thank you for your time. Tristan, and I apologize, I cannot read the last name.
Christoph.
Christoph.
So I have two immediate things that I would like to address to both PennDOT and the Borough Council as a body. I have immense respect for all of you as volunteers for our community, but we need to address that this is a failure of our public infrastructure in town. I echo the statements of Tina's friend and family member that was said today. Tina posted on her Facebook 7 years ago, predicting her own death. It is not a timeline of 5 months, respectfully. It was not a timeline of 3 or 5 months. We had the conversation that was brought up of what is the timeline to gather the information necessary to evoke change. We didn't have 5 months. We had over 7 years of the woman who died saying what was necessary, why it was scary, why it was concerning. As a member of this town, I have had so many scary instances in not just that specific intersection where there were just 2 more deaths, but on 9th Street where there were 2 deaths. You know, I have almost been hit on 8th where there isn't even an actual crosswalk. It gets to the point where we as borough residents have the expectation of the people that we have elected to represent us, not solely within our borough council, but also people that work in our bureaucratical systems to enact the change to keep us safe. We have that reasonable expectation. The second thing that I would say on top of that, the slowness that I am very disappointed in, is the fact that we've been putting out all this anti-pedestrian messaging. I think that's a complete and absolute failure. And I'm sorry to crack down my hammer on that, but it's so frustrating to have this surge of anti-pedestrian messaging of we need to crack down on jaywalkers. Jaywalking is not the problem here. The problem is that we've had the failure of removing that X crosswalk. We have the dangerous situation of the 9th Street crosswalk. We have the dangerous situation on 8th, on 6th, on 5th, on 4th, on Philadelphia Street. There are injuries. There are people who don't die but are injured there. And we need to address that. What we don't need to give into is this anti-pedestrian messaging of so many college students are on their phones. Not one of the 4 people who died was incorrectly crossing those crosswalks, staring glued to their phone, and they died. The suggestion that we need to inform people to look both ways before crossing the road is just such an obvious statement that everybody from my age group above and below is already aware of, because we're already taught that in school. That's not gonna solve the issue either.
Amy Curry?
Well, I'm gonna date myself here. I can remember. Probably remember too, maybe your dad told you. Punch McGregor in the middle of the intersection at 7th Street with his white gloves and his whistle diagonal. Crossing people. You need a little bit more police presence. And I'm not talking down to any of you police officers at all. We love you. Glad you're here. But we do need more police presence downtown. I want to give you something else to chew on as well. Delivery vehicles. They're a big hindrance in the street. I was coming up, heading west on Philly the other day, and there was a Pepsi truck parked in the middle lane. That truck was not 6 feet from the intersection. I couldn't see if anybody was coming across, and they wouldn't have been able to see me. What I am witnessing though from people with the delivery trucks that are being parked there, you see a lot of people scooting out around them all the time. It's sad to say sometimes that jaywalking is safer than in the intersection. However, what I'm seeing with a lot of this is aggressive driving. People are getting angry because that delivery truck is parked there and they need into that center lane. Most specifically, if it's parked near the intersection and they want to turn, they can't get into that lane. And I've seen it, I've witnessed it, people getting just, excuse me, but pissed off, and they'll whip out around it when they can and cross the intersection. That's good. I don't know when this changed, but deliveries were always in the back alleys. Why can't they go back there? You're congesting traffic for one thing too with that, and then you're getting people angry because they can't get around these delivery trucks. People are scooting out around them on their feet, crossing there. It's just another safety issue. And I think that needs addressed. I don't know why you can't move deliveries to the back again and free up that center lane. So, that's all I want to say. Thank you all for everything you do. Thank you, PennDOT.
Apologize, I'm not sure the last name, but Karen Heisen?
I live in the 100 block of Philadelphia Street, and years and years and years, I've tried to say, cars coming from 286 are going too fast. I've been blown off 100 times. We had 4 accidents between 1st and 2nd Street in the last 3 months, I think. One accident wiped out the whole north-south side, signs, garbage cans, whatever, took them out. If the traffic's not coming in slower, it's still going to be racing to the, I can't get across 2nd Street. If I walk, there ain't nobody stopping for me. Nobody. And sometimes I carry a stick just because to steady myself. If it's not, like I said, I'm sorry I got in here because I'm telling you for years and years and years, the last accident we had, there was a policeman. Nobody deviates. There's accidents. They don't deviate to Water Street or to Gompers Avenue. They stay in line until they can race past the accident. So anyway, that's all I got. There should be an all red light coming from east, that East Pike light. It needs to be red on 286. That will slow everybody down, but
Forgive me. I apologize. So the light coming in through at
into
the,
town, everybody's, if you come from Clymer, you're going 50 miles an hour because it's an open roadway. Nobody's slowing down because
Okay.
they don't have to, because it's always green. The only trigger there
Okay, I
is
understand.
East
Okay.
Pike. So when I'm trying to get out of my driveway, I'm always looking at the East Pike light to know that I can back out. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for unless someone is turning, right? That is the end of public comment that people signed up for. Did anyone mean to sign up or did not like to speak? Sure.
So I won't take too much of your time. Tina was my good friend.
Please, just for the record, state the name and
My name
misspelling.
is Malia Parasagisi. If you want me to spell it, it's Malia. Two last names, Paresa. Other last name, Giesey. My address is 9957 Route 286, Highway West. I live in Kent, I live in Indiana. However, I did go to college here. And I've been in the area for well over 30 years now. And I remember how happy I was to see the X in town for crossing and how sad I was to see it go away. And hearing Tina's words herself makes it all the more poignant. And then literally less than 2.5 days later, I firsthand witnessed a left-hand turn when a pedestrian was trying to cross. I was on 4th Street heading towards west of 286. I am so frustrated and angry and furious that yet another human was put at risk here. I really request and ask that you all consider very carefully. One life is too much. It has been 4 lives plus some impacted by these types of accidents. And I know how hard it is to see at night. I see both sides of this argument. There is no reason why we should allow left-hand turns on red lights when pedestrians are being allowed to cross at the same time. I watched a young child get hit by a vehicle. That is unacceptable. Absolutely. He is impacted for the rest of his life. The loss of our friend, our sister, the loss of our mothers, our uncles, our brothers, our fathers, unacceptable. I am the first person to tell you, I drive in places like New York, in places like Detroit, in places like Washington, DC, and let me tell you that traffic is not fun. But you still pay attention to pedestrians. And if this is going to be a pedestrian-friendly situation and town and borough, then please make it so. And I'm done. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, was there any final for public?
Can I say something? Sure. My name is Donald Staley, and I live at 967 Cribbs Road in Clarksburg, Pennsylvania.
Forgive me, you go a little bit slower and say that again for me.
Don Staley, Stehley.
Okay.
Okay,
What was the address one more time? So sorry.
967 Cribbs Road. That's in
Thank you.
Clarksburg. Now, I've only lived here for about 5 months. And I'll tell you from an outsider's point of view. So I'm a wounded warrior, I'm a veteran, and I've never felt anxiety and PTSD the way I do coming down Philadelphia Street. Now, if you've ever been to combat, you have to look around all the time because of IEDs, because of the enemy, of everything, right? I never thought that here in the United States, in a new town, which is beautiful, I would have to have my head on a swivel, not just for traffic, not just for somebody pulling out whenever they shouldn't be, but the fact that pedestrians just have the right of way. They can just dart out in front of you anytime they want. So I'm looking left and right, up and down, all over the daggone place, and I am new here. There should be an all stop. And I do agree with the X. That just makes common sense. What I didn't allude you to is the reason why I'm here. It's because I had to pack my family up and get here because I'm John and Loretta Rieger's son-in-law. So we came from Utah. I'm glad you talked about anxiety because this is not a good time for my family because of what we've been through. Not just us, but everybody's family, everybody's friends, everybody that feels this. If you want to talk about 30 seconds to cross, a minute that you're going to lose here and there, this is an entire life. These were great people. Debating if it should flash for 30 seconds and what happens if they turn left, that really doesn't matter to the folks that care. It's doing the right thing. And you're absolutely right. It takes both sides, the drivers, the pedestrians, the city council, PennDOT. You know what? I never got an education. Good for y'all. But what I do have is some common sense. And coming in this town, not looking for a problem, but immediately seeing a problem after devastation, I'm a true testament. And in addition to that, I've lived in Louisiana. I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq. I know what it feels like to have anxiety. And this Philadelphia street brings me right to the tens. I'm one of the reasons why we're driving around medicated, because if it wasn't for that medication, I would lose my freaking mind. So it's up to every one of us to make sure that the next person doesn't have to go through what these families have gone through, or the long nights that you all are going through, or the chief of police worrying about all this. Let's do it for ourselves and our community and make sure that it's done right. The first time is always the best time to do it. We can wait to put on a vote or anything, but you know what? I think it's time. Thank you.
for your time. I do appreciate everyone being here. Okay, so to give the basic flow of the rest of the meeting, I don't want you to feel like we're not taking anything you said seriously. The moment to address it is closer to the end of the meeting. And so there's some basic just business we do have to go through that's gonna feel a little insensitive after everything we just heard, and I apologize for that. But it's the nature of this meeting that we have to get through it. So we will come back and talk about some of this stuff under new business towards the end. So I apologize again if it sounds insensitive, it's just we have to do. Okay,
Do you want PennDOT to stay throughout the meeting, and if we have any more questions, or you guys?
Probably just stay.
Okay.
okay, thank you, thank you. And that makes it easy, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the committee reports.
You're up.
Oh, excuse me. I was watching them. I wasn't paying attention.
So yeah, for the admin,
The admin committee doesn't have anything to vote on tonight. We spent a lot of time looking at the budget, which is further on the agenda later, I think. Reviewed parking as usual.
Good luck tonight.
Some things are under budget, some things are over budget. Pretty much. Unless somebody has a question, you can see the minutes.
any questions for admin? Okay, which case then, back to the budget. All right, me, community development, okay. Now I have to go back to community development, second. Oh, too far. Similar to what Peter said, I think we went over the budget in there. Got an update from Sam Kinley. Some upcoming events, things like that. Trajan, I don't believe, that was the meeting he wasn't at.
He was at a conference.
Yeah, he was at a conference. So again, there's not a whole lot in the minutes. So, but if anyone has any questions at this time. Nope. All right, in which case then. So moving on to public safety, which does have some action items.
We have two action items on public safety. I won't go over the meeting since we had all been at the meeting and we had so much public safety already today. First, suggested motion is motion to authorize the replacement of Glock 40 caliber handguns, holsters, and magazines that are currently in service with the police department with the purchase of Glock 9mm handguns, optics, holsters, and magazines at no cost to exceed $21,508.50.
Okay, from committee, so we do not need.
Right.
A second. But we are spending money, so we do need a roll call, please.
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
DeBowser.
Yes.
Frick,
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell. Yes. Cerniso, Smith,
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carries.
Second motion, motion to authorize active members of the police department to purchase Glock 40 caliber handgun at its established trade-in value with all non-purchased firearms being traded at the same established value.
Okay, again, this comes from committee, so we don't need a second, but are we spending money?
No, we're not spending. This is
So
getting money.
In which case then just, we can do a verbal.
Yeah.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
That's it.
All right, those are the action items, in which case then on to,
Public Works. All right, we have 4 action items. Now, the first one, a motion to approve the general mechanical contract to Hopkins Bureaus Incorporated, ABA J5 Construction Incorporated for the upgrades to the wastewater treatment headworks in the amount of $3,740,000. $49,000, sorry. I had that 9. I don't get to read that when I watch. Okay. There's no second needed because it's coming from committee.
gosh, it's gross.
I know, this is the Headworks project, so everyone knows what the project
This
is.
is all for the Penn Best.
This is for the Penn Best.
Penn Best lab.
Penn Best loan. All right. We're spending money.
Should it state anything pending on approval?
Yes.
It is approved by Penn.
Oh, it is already.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're
I
approved by
apologize.
Well,
Okay.
oh,
Which case,
yeah,
then-
okay. Sorry,
well, yeah,
says
yeah.
here.
If you could mark when she
There's a
got.
spot over here by-
Oh, there is one.
Yeah, there you go.
Where is your spot at the table?
I know, right?
We're a little, we
I was
have
looking
extra
for it.
people for
Well,
that.
anyway, okay. In which case, then we do need a roll call vote.
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
DeBowser,
Oh, yes.
Frick. Yes. Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell,
Yes.
Cerniso,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
7 yes,
I want the
0.
polls.
No.
Hey,
Oh.
8, I'm sorry, 8 yes.
Stop flushing your wipes, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, motion carries. Okay, next motion, please.
All right, motion to approve the electrical contract to Stelco Incorporated for the upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant headworks for the amount of $247,000.
Which case, once again, from committees, we do not need a second, but we do need a roll call, please, Lori.
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
DeBowser,
Yes.
Frick. Yes. Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell,
Yes.
Cerniso,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries.
All right. There's more than.
Yeah, three more.
Okay. Motion to approve the purchase of a truck for the Parks Department in the amount of $18,750.
Okay, once again, from, forgive me, words eluding me, from committee. So no second necessary, but we do please ask for a roll call vote.
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
DeBowser,
Yes.
Frick.
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell, Cerniso,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries.
All right, here is a motion to approve the pay application 5 for contract 2024-01 in the amount of $39,498.85 to Cooper and Contracting Incorporated.
I would not have been able to say that.
I know, I'm getting really good at long numbers. over these years. Public
Okay.
Works.
In which case then, we are once again coming from committee, so no second necessary. But we are once again spending money, and so please look, roll call vote.
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
Bowser,
Yes.
Brick. Yes. Lancaster,
Yes.
Noel. Yes. Cerniso,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
All right,
Motion
and
carries.
this last one does need a second. It is the resolution for the Penvest loan. So motion to approve the resolution 2025-R15, approving the intent to reimburse sewer funds used to construct improvements to the Borough of Indiana wastewater treatment plant with the funds received from the Penvest loan.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Tammy seconded. Okay, I just have a point of clarity, which I apologize, should have been asking for discussion on any of these. This is, to make sure I understand, this is in case we needed to front money of which to do something. Then once the Penvest money shows up, it would pay back. Is that how that works?
Yeah, we're getting the Penvest money to pay for the whole project.
Yeah.
This is,
So why do we
The
need,
sewer funds, because you have money
or
that
sewer funds are paying the loan, the sewer fund.
you're taking out of
We're
general.
not taking it out of general fund, we're paying.
okay, so we reimburse sewer funds used to construct improvements,
Yes,
and that's us paying back a loan?
or using our, yeah.
Using the sewer
Sewer
money
money
to pay the
pay
loan.
the
Well, if
loan.
you're saying it's worded properly, then
Yeah.
okay, I got.
Because
It's,
it's the-
it is.
it's the
Right.
sewer fund, not the
Right.
general.
In which case then, I don't know, are we spending money?
Yes.
We're prepaying money apparently. I don't
It's
know.
a
You're not
resolution.
prepaying, you're.
We're
prepaying.
It's a resolution that we have to put in with all the loan documents saying that we're going to use the sewer funds to pay back the loan.
Okay, which case, any further discussion, or am I the other one confused?
So that's designation
I don't know what that
of
means.
funds. We're
Yes.
designating the funds for that,
Yes,
yes.
I think that's
So
correct.
we're
Yes,
spending
Pat
it,
says
yes.
yes.
Attaches the resolution.
Yeah, it's a resolution.
Yeah, I read the resolution. I just try to make sure I understand.
The motion.
Yeah.
It is a little, it's worded a little goofy.
It's the lawyers talking.
Don't blame me. It's the
If
Penn
they-
Best lawyer
But
talking.
as long as you're saying it's worded correctly, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Which case then, let's just do a roll call vote for fun.
Just for case.
Yeah.
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
Bowser,
Yes.
Brick.
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Cerniso,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Motion
All right,
carries.
that's all of the motions out of Public Works. Beyond that, People's Gas is continuing to work in the borough, so is American Water. I just got a notice
Yeah.
about that.
Turn for more roads in the middle of winter.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And beyond that, Borough Building Project, there's a few last minute work to be done. We're still waiting on DEP to review our Act 537 plan. It's understaffed, so we're still waiting.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're working on the wastewater treatment project. We just approved all of that. And there's a number of projects that'll be going to bid soon. We have a MTF bridge project. Next up is the Marsh Front Stream Bank Stabilization, which is phase 2. And sidewalk replacement project is looking at bid at the beginning of the year. And then we have the Washington Avenue Bridge repair. That's all the main big money items.
I have a question about the upcoming increase in electric bills. When do I ask? Does anybody know? Has anybody heard the reasoning behind this, or what is the jackup?
We bid ours, we bid ours out and get the best rate and we go through it. So for the borough, I mean, as far as personal
Are you
residents.
referring to,
There's been a lot of recent communication coming up about increased prices in electric bills.
yeah, there was an
Yeah, we're
auction in
looking at-
June, there's
okay.
another one in December.
Yeah,
And then, so,
Yes.
I mean, we have our contract.
work.
So how long is
Our
our
contract is set
We have a
already.
contract.
For how long? I can't remember.
24 months.
Okay, so we are
We're locked into our
for the
rates.
time being from a borough council rep
Yeah.
perspective.
do we anticipate an astronomical jump again when that time comes? Do we know? Does it have anything to
I
do
would
with the
assume so.
data center?
I would assume
Where,
so.
where is this?
It
all?
has, I would say, yes, it has a lot to do with
Yeah.
the speculation about the consumption of data centers.
Okay,
Because there's a lot of data centers that popped up in Pennsylvania in general.
So,
so the word on the street is look out.
Yep.
Turn your.
Good thing we got solar panels.
Yes,
Yeah, we got solar panels coming. Okay.
Anyway, okay.
Thank you.
Hopefully the sun shines.
Okay, in which case, is that it
That's it for
from?
Public Works
Mhm.
unless anyone has any questions.
Yeah. All right, in which case then, moving on to planning commission reports. Excuse me, commission reports. Up first is the planning commission.
Okay, there's a fairly extensive report
Yeah.
in your packet.
Given the time, do we want to talk about that now, or do we want to talk about
We need a
that?
full conversation. about
Yeah,
that
because I have a lot of
Yeah.
issues
I have a
here.
lot of.
So can we leave it as a,
I was going to say, look at that, and beyond that, at the planning commission meeting, the one thing people continue to talk about, the impact of short-term rentals
Yeah.
and
They address that.
the,
Airbnbs.
and the commercial
Neighborhood
property,
commercial
neighborhood
Neighborhood
commercial,
commercial
that's right,
district,
neighborhood
yes.
commercial.
Yeah.
okay, so I believe Trajan had talked to me about bringing this up in community development next week.
Okay.
So I know not everyone is required to be to that meeting, but it is the
I'll be
next
there.
moment of this conversation for council. So
That's
I
fine.
encourage you to come if you want to be part of it. So,
It's big talk.
yes. In which case, anything else for planning commission? Okay, in which case then we are on to Shade Tree. I don't know if everyone got the email. It was a little late,
Yeah,
but did you have any highlights you want to add?
Sure. Shade Tree took some time to discuss the ordinance revision at the meeting. Since then, the subcommittee got together and drafted the final line items that they wanted to see changed. They'll have a final review at the November meeting. They're gonna reach out to you, Nicole, to see if we could spend time with the solicitor, or if it can go to solicitor before it comes to the November meeting. And then other points of discussion is that they talked about the bare root trees that are to be planted hopefully this month. They are part of the grant. And they'll be planted on North Fifth or Delphi and across New Hampshire High. And they also had a further discussion about using bare root trees in the future. They hope to look more at their 5-year plan once the ordinance revisions are complete.
Nice.
Great.
Okay. In which case, any questions for Shade Tree? All right, moving on then, we're gonna go into the personnel reports. Nicole, the borough manager.
Yes, I'll be quick, but I do want to address you guys. As far as your friend and family, I seriously apologize for what you guys are going through. I'm not only the borough manager, I'm a resident of the borough. I live on 15th Street. I, lived here for 30-some years. My kids grew up here. So I feel your pain, and I've been, for the last 6 months, we have been, PennDOT has been great partners with us. We've been working hard behind the scenes. So we're gonna get there. I can't promise you tomorrow, but we're gonna get there, okay?
Thank you very much for taking this seriously. I know none of you take human life in any way, shape, or form as a negative or that you denigrate it, sorry, wrong word. And I really hope that these recent events can bring us all to the table quicker and faster so that less humans are at risk here.
Sure.
And as parents and as friends and as family, it's asked that you continue to work towards this, and we really appreciate that you are doing this.
And I think we're gonna touch on it again here in just a few minutes as well. And
We'll
so,
continue and continue on it.
And I am hopeful that
Yeah.
even though there's so much division in our country, that Indiana is better than that.
I agree.
And this should be bringing us together to care about, this is our family as well. The time and effort and energy and emotion that Nicole has to put into it repeatedly and just not be able to put it down. It's day in and day out. You're forced to contend with choices that it's just too much for one human to handle, let alone the group working together. So I'm angry but proud of our community.
And I hope we can continue to be proud of our community because that is important to us too.
so Nicole, what else would you like to?
Just real quick, for next public, for work session, we are gonna definitely go over the budget, or, I did give you guys a little sneak peek of what's to come. Again, I did get a first initial with our insurance was gonna be raised 19%, but we just got word today that, that's not the case. They're gonna give us it like 9%, so which is a big difference. I do wanna thank all the departments have worked really hard on, helping me get to to the budgets and where we're at. You know, over this last year, they stuck to their budgets. You know, they were concentrating, they did an excellent job of not, really took in consideration what they wanted to spend. And I appreciate all the departments. I think we're gonna look at a good budget coming into 2026, probably a 1.5% increase overall, which is great considering all of our contractual obligations. Right now, it's showing a little shortfall, but again, once I go back to some departments and look at what some things we can tweak with the insurance, I do have that a placeholder for the citizens ambulance in here for 2026. So I'm not sure what's still on the table for that. So we'll continue that we just want to support citizens, and we want to keep that in our budget in case anything's not finalized. As far as, I'm not sure, Jonathan, if you're going to talk about that later or not. Okay, but so other than that, everything looks good, and hopefully I'll get this budget out to you guys by the end of the week or next week, and you'll have until work session to review everything.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's it.
All right, in which case then, Chief, we're to you.
I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that today is election day and that I recognize that some council seats are being contended. And I also recognize that Councilmember Lancaster is not on the ballot this year. So just quickly, I wanted to extend to everyone my appreciation and not expecting anything different, but not knowing how this might work. I just wanted to make sure that I said that publicly at today's meeting. So thank you, everybody.
And our mayor.
He's not going anywhere.
In which case then, moving on to Pat, the solicitor.
Yeah, I really have nothing at this time. There's a couple things in executive session for legal that we might have to address, but I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Our IEP representative looked like she had to leave.
She did.
And so was her packet sent?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in there.
Then we can just refer to the packet then for IUP. Place on my page. Oh, it's me. Oh, how about that? Okay, in which case we went to elected officials reports, starting with myself. I also want to extend, Don, how long? I know it's not your last meeting, but
I've been with council, December 31st will wrap up 12 years.
so by the end of his term would be 12 years of service to the community. And this is just one of the ways he serves the community. And so, again, it's not his last, he's not dying and he's not moving away and he's not going to be gone next week. But this is the moment to acknowledge his 12 years of service to the community. And again, this is just one of those ways. And so thank you.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
And so,
Including Publix.
and for everyone else, whenever we leave here, we may know whether or not we're gonna be here in a couple months or not. And so, good luck to anyone who hasn't bothered to look it up yet, when it comes to that. And so, on that, that's really all I have at this moment. As the president, Mr. Mayor.
No report.
No report from the mayor. Hopefully he has many more to come. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but I did. Anyway, I'm moving on to old business. What?
He's not here.
He just said he has no report.
Okay.
No report.
I couldn't see him.
Yeah, in which case then, if you could, please, Jonathan, give us the EMS report.
Yeah, in lieu of the somber circumstances, I'd like to also acknowledge the role that Citizens Ambulance played in, creating an atmosphere of safety in the borough during both of these incidences. And as the EMS authority, we are working our hardest to make sure that our local service providers for EMS services are funded well, and those costs are distributed equitably. Because when those calls come in, there's no option but to have those ambulances there in a timely fashion. That said, we are hosting our first EMS hearing for the service plan. It's on December 11th at the Homer Center Junior High School. I'll be happy to give council members more of a presentation on that, but we are setting a fee at $75 per housing unit. And then for commercial businesses, there's a tiered system from 0 to 9 employees, 10 to 100, and then 100 plus at $100 increments.
What time is that here?
That time of the hearing is at 7 PM, 7 to 9 PM, Homer Center Junior Senior High School, 70 Wildcat Lane,
What was the date?
December 11th.
It's no longer November 20th.
No,
Thank
we
you.
had a life.
That's okay, I just.
Life
Is that a Tuesday?
happened.
Is that a Monday night?
It is,
A Tuesday, Monday?
hold on, I have the flyer.
Tuesday. We have a meeting here.
Tuesday, wasn't it?
No, December 11th, I
It's a
believe it's a
Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, you're right.
Because Thursdays are the safest days when
It's a
people don't have
Thursday.
meetings. Yeah, Thursday, December 11th, Homer Center High School, 70 Wildcat Lane. We'll be presenting the hearing there that day. That's our big launch, and then all municipalities have 45 days up until then, after then, to create a rescinding ordinance to remove themselves. We, as Indiana Borough, are members of the authority, and we have the choice to make whether or not we continue to be. But all of our residents have received a mailing about the hearing, that and what it entails and why we're doing what we're doing. So if anyone asks, you can always direct them to icmesapa.gov.
It was very nice looking when it came out.
Yeah,
It's easy
it's
to clear
very
and read.
nice,
It
thank
was
you.
very nice.
That's all I got.
So after that, there's a 45-day
After the hearing.
after the hearing
So I'll do the next-
to make your choice as to whether we're going to continue or other communities are going to continue.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, it'll be after the reorganization meeting. Next year.
So, I mean, we can vote to confirm it
Oh,
even
and
at our next
anytime,
meeting.
yeah, anytime there, yeah.
So it was in Homer City High School at 7 on the 11th.
7th and the 11th.
Yeah.
That's a popular day. Yeah. It's also wrestling pictures.
So was the original date, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, in which case, thank you for that update. I apologize for having to step out momentarily. In which case, then we are to the moment. Now, and Betsy, you were not here for the beginning, but we,
I listened to it.
okay, so she's up to speed then. In which case, then into new business, I guess I pose the question to council is, what other discussion points do we want on this? And does someone feel strongly enough about any of the options available to formulate a motion?
I could make a motion, but if anyone has discussion.
No, I feel confident in the expeditions and recommendations of our staff.
Jessica, you look like you had a question?
Do we have any discussion amongst ourselves if we think which of these options seems to be
Sure.
best?
Yeah. I was gonna simply pose for the difference between the second option, I guess option B and C seems to be, I think they alleviated my concern of like causing congestion on Church Street if we eliminated the left-hand turn, given the fact that the data shows that it is extremely low traffic turning left there already, probably due to the nature that intersection is awful. And so that was my main question of why would be a reason not to do that. And so I don't,
How much public announcement do we need to make to warn folks that the change is coming, that you're not making lefts there anymore, to start planning a different route? Like,
I would ask that if council were to vote for option C with the no left turn, that we allow some time for staff to reconnect with PennDOT to see how that functionality would work, the time that it would take for turns. So if it is coming as a recommendation, I'd like there to be a caveat that we can start moving forward with whatever you want and allow us more time to
do the
to
left.
organize.
So we can do the
the-
pedestrian portion right away and then work on the left.
If that's council's
Okay.
interest.
so my only question with that, because I think that's an excellent point, would be, would it slow down the changing of the pedestrians, because those would have to be synced to removing the left-hand turn, or is it as simple as put up a sign, don't turn left?
I don't know the answer to that, but I would assume that PennDOT could
So
change the.
that would be something that, yeah, in addition to, and it would be added to the signal permit. We would look at what pavement markings are there, what signs need added to the signal permit, what phasing needs changed.
So they can be done in conjunction with, along the same timeline, or would it extend out that 3 to 5 weeks into, say, 7 to 8, you know what I mean? Like, what would that do to the overall timeline?
We feel it would still stay within that same timeline.
Okay.
The only thing that-
Based on what we're seeing
Yeah,
here.
paint markings on the road. If you Does it have them now?
I don't
Kurt?
believe so.
No, it's a
Okay.
single approach, so.
Yeah, because if it has paint markings this time of year, it's hard to put
Sure.
those down and get them to last.
Well,
So-
because you had just stated all the lights basically need to either flip or not flip. And I wouldn't want to hold up all of the crossings.
Yeah, no,
If we're gonna cause a big delay.
that would be done in conjunction. The other thing that would need to be done in conjunction with this would be the evaluation of no right on reds.
Oh, we didn't
So
talk about that
all the
one.
intersection would
A
probably.
lot of them
would
have that already, don't they?
no right on red. Yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously,
a lot of them do.
We would just make sure that is in
Gotcha.
place at all of
Understood.
it.
Yes, if you're gonna hold for pedestrian, you can't let somebody make a right on red or you're violating the whole thing you were
Yeah,
trying.
no, that makes sense.
Could we also have some sort of blinking light temporarily to say we've got a new traffic pattern above in the, in front of you? Is that an option to alert our drivers that, now you're no longer turning left? You've been used to turning left for the last 37 years, but now you can't.
Yeah, I mean, if the turning left is a sticking point for council, I mean, you could go with just the all ped phase to start with. And then if you see that need for the turning left, you could adjust at that point, but it's gonna
Like a
take a,
phased approach.
it would be a.
You don't think we should immediately coming in, hey, we've made a change here. Everybody's been whining and asking for a change. Hello, everybody, we've made a change.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to
Okay.
either option.
Right,
I'm
okay.
okay with everyone you accept to add an enhancement light within traffic standards. You're almost asking,
I mean, a couple of blocks up the road. So
Like a
you're
message
coming to
board
Oakland,
or-
like a message board, a
a
couple blocks
message
up the
board or
road.
something you could do ahead of time, like if you guys.
Yes.
route one
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
And that would
That's the
jive with
portion
some
that
of
I was
the-
asking for more time to coordinate with PennDOT
Okay.
because candidly, we haven't discussed the intricacy of how that no left turn would work. We just talked about the possibility of that cleaning that intersection up a little bit for some of the concern.
Because goodness help us if we.
So, yeah, what I'd
they
like
don't
to do
realize
is
it.
just continue to have conversations with PennDOT on that topic, knowing what council's interest is.
Okay.
I have a random thought. I know other communities have these little flags to commemorate veterans. And I don't know how many folks have passed away thanks to horrible accidents like this, but we've lost 4 really special people. And I don't know if it would be interest of anybody to have like a little painting mural or a flag or some sort of a signage,
Dawn,
not
didn't you
even a
say,
street name change or something, just something for the future thought reference.
I
that we
don't know
can-
who did the one, but for the fatality that was in 1991 at 6th Street and Philadelphia, when a young woman was killed. There's a plaque.
yeah,
Okay.
There's a plaque there at that
we
intersection at the side where
into.
where she lost her life.
That
Okay.
can always be discussed later. at,
Yeah.
like,
That's not
community
really-
well, I mean, and we would
development.
want to discuss to the family, do they want something like that? Of course, we wouldn't just make them do
Yeah.
that, right? Okay, in which case then, sorry, Jessica, like you're about to say something. Okay, in which case then do we have a motion?
I'd like to move forward with option C to eliminate, do you want me to read all this? Okay, just can I say option C?
I'll
I
second
think
it.
that sounds good.
I think that's good. We know what it is.
We have a motion to move forward to option C.
I second it.
Jessica has seconded that motion. Do we need any further discussion on the motion?
We may just want to outline what that option C
Yeah,
is for anybody
for the
who's
press or-
watching, so there's no
Okay.
confusion as to.
Okay,
what-
so yes, we have to read it all,
All right.
so.
Eliminate left turn at Oakland Avenue, incorporate a push button, all red phase for pedestrian crossings with mid-block lighted signs at 8th and Carpenter. And by push button phase at pedestrian crossings, we're specifically referring to 9th, 7th. Are we talking about all of them? 6th, 5th, and 4th.
They're all integrated, so if
All
you do
those.
one, you have to do all. of them.
Okay,
So from 4th Street to 9th
to
Street.
4th Street to 9th Street.
Is
Can
this
we
doing
also add
business?
the X cross to it?
That'll
Yeah.
be afterwards, because we have to change all the ADA ramps.
Right, there would have
Is
to
this-
that'd be in
And folks, just for the sake of the moment,
the
there is a
motion.
motion that she's trying to clarify. So the more we add to this moment, the more confusing
Hold
it'll
on,
be
is
for
it
the
24
record.
hours a day, this button pushing change, or is it during
Yes.
business hours?
So that's the motion. Does anyone else have a second to the motion?
I already seconded.
Oh, you're
Okay, that's right,
second,
Jessica's
sorry.
second. So Chief, do you feel that that satisfies the, okay, perfect.
Okay.
We need to vote.
In which case then, any further discussion? Okay, in which which case then, say it again, I mean,
gonna-
we're spending money, right,
Eventually.
at some level, just in
Potentially,
case,
yeah.
but, so why not just do a roll call vote to play it safe?
Broad,
Yes.
Palazzo,
Yes.
Bowser,
Yes.
Frick,
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes,
Noel,
Yes.
Sarniso,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Great, motion carries.
And again, I
Everyone.
urge everybody to be patient because we'll
Yeah.
have to, there's a
Yes.
lot of work that's gonna need.
3 to 5 weeks. Start.
Not that we'll be calling you or anything.
Can we put on the
At 5 weeks and
agenda,
1 day.
can we put on the agenda to move forward the discussion of adding the X crosswalk?
Yeah, I think that'll have to.
I think that's part of it. I just wanted to make sure people understood that where we're talking about the flashing crosswalk signs at Eighth and Carpenter, there are those cones right now that tell cars they need to yield and the cars aren't yielding.
Right.
This will be more visible.
To be clear, though, you're allowing staff to manage
Yes.
this process. So
Yes.
that 3 to
Yes.
5 week window may be realistic for the light timing, but we may need a longer runway to make sure that the left turn can be adequately handled.
Yes.
And also those pedestrian signals, we have a grant funding application out there
Sure, yes.
for a lot of money
Yeah,
that
for
that may
these
take
things.
care of a lot of other things that we'd like to understand.
And
So just so there's a runway
We
there.
trust that you guys will be
Okay.
doing your best.
And where will these
Yeah,
left
my
turn people go?
My only, I apologize, too many of us talking at once. Tammy, what did you just say?
Where will these now left turn people go?
That'll be.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, so.
They'll figure it out.
Real quick. And so,
We don't.
Chief,
yeah,
one
sorry,
ask
this
I
now.
would have
Right?
is, if it looks like there's going to be a major delay due to the left turn.
Mhm.
To, I don't know if we would need to take any action at that point formally, since we just passed a motion wanting that to happen. But if it does look like there's just community, please
I'll
communicate.
continue doing a traffic report of public safety.
Yeah, because I don't, I think we want to not delay the four-way red. Does that make sense?
Understood.
I also want to make sure that we keep on the table the X crosswalk.
Yeah, yeah.
So whatever the next step is for us to move forward with the ADA ramps, et cetera, I would like to see those coming into place.
So we'd
we
have to,
put-
what, talk to the engineers then?
Yeah,
and
and
see
whether
what-
to-
Put it on the public
Now we're
safety
getting-
agenda for probably grant funding.
And
Yeah.
could we also talk about some sort of communication with the public that is more than our Facebook posts and a newspaper post? We need to we need to have a discussion time or something for a new way to present this to the public. So they know that this matter has been addressed and we are doing our best, and they need to do their part. They need to follow the rules and follow the laws and the
Well, they
new
need to help
traffic
communicate
patterns.
also. 'cause
But we need to communicate and have it be
Yeah.
Yeah.
a borough-wide initiative.
Okay, in which case then, is there any other discussion on this particular topic at hand?
Thank you
Okay.
for everybody's work on this. and How
you.
quickly we got
Yeah,
this. I know it
absolutely.
wasn't super quickly, but as quickly as we could possibly. go.
Okay,
We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to come here this evening.
okay, now it is, I apologize. I second everything they just said. Thank you, everybody, and I'm sorry you had to be here, but thank you for coming. So normally we talk about upcoming community impacts. I don't have the energy and it's late
Still
and
need
it
to
feels
do,
contrary to the somber moment that we were discussing.
Our executive session can wait to the work session.
It can,
It
okay.
can.
Okay.
In which case then, is that it? Okay, sorry, I thought we were gonna have two more things now, so we don't.
Move to
Okay.
adjourn.
In which case, move to adjourn?
Second.
Yes.
Here's a simple question.
Yeah.
So who's in charge of letting Google Maps and all of the vehicles that get satellite imagery of maps and making left-hand turns? How will that work out?
It's not on.
That's a fabulous question. I have no idea. And that's got it. Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna guess it's three people there. You see it's like-
Yeah.
Sign some papers.
Sign your papers.
I'm just so glad.
That will be.
And it will be.